Dear colleagues, my name is Dr. Georgios Gaetanos. I'm a lecturer of religious studies, the Department of Theology and Culture of College University Logos. And I'm very pleased to participate to this very interesting conference. And I would like to thank the organizers of the conference for the invitation. The topic of my lecture is Interreligious Dialogue in Albania. In Albania, there are 5 religious communities with the most followers: Sunni Islam, Orthodox Christians, Roman Catholics, Evangelicals, and Bektasi. After the fall of the communist regime in 1990, where the performance of religious duties was prohibited and there was religious persecution of believers of all communities, the right of religious freedom was restored. Churches and mosques opened again for their believers and performed the first liturgies and prayers in destroyed temples. Since the establishment of the Albanian state in 1912, but also after the restoration of democracy and the right to religious freedom, Albania has been considered a model of cooperation, dialogue, and harmony between religious communities with tangible examples of solidarity and cooperation. The role of religious belief in the framework of the democratic system is quite positive, especially when this relationship is nurtured by dialogue and sincere cooperation. Since freedom of religion is reflected in private and public life, the state, which guarantees this freedom by law, cannot be indifferent to its abuse. The highlight of this cooperation was the establishment of the Interreligious Council of Albania, IRCA, in 2007, with 4 founding members communities, which then in 2018 became 5. The most interesting element of this record is the fact that a country with a diverse religious imprint was able to maintain certain common religious values within an atheistic framework under communism and maintain a model of tolerance and harmony, which is an example both for the Balkans and for the modern Western world. It is characteristic that religious confrontations never developed in the history of Albania, but in order to establish this path and the reason for this situation, it would be good to take a short historical path. We could divide the religious history of Albania into 6 historical periods. The first period can be considered the period of dominance of Christianity after the formalization of the new faith as the official religion of the Roman Empire. Until the beginning of the 8th century, the Eastern Illyrian region was ecclesiastically subordinated to Rome, while from 7302 and 7333, it came under the jurisdiction of the Ecumenical Patriarchy. After the Great Schism of the churches, 2 large communities gradually formed from the 13th century, that of the Orthodox in the south of the country, and that of the Roman Catholics in the north. The second period is characterized by the dominance of Islam after the spread of the Ottoman Empire and Islamization. It's clear that during this period the Christian populations were drastically reduced, as with their conversion to Islam, they were offered privileges, properties, and exemption from property. Also, the possibility of promotion to high levels of management contributed in this direction. Many Albanian Christians converted to Islam as they did not show the same level of religious resistance as other Balkan people, as they did not have a Christian script in their language. Of course, during the development of national liberation movements, both in Europe and in the Balkans, we observed the alliance between Christian populations and Muslims against the Ottoman authorities, which contributed to the first interreligious cooperation towards a common goal. The third period is placed from the period of establishment of the Albanian state in 1912 until its annexation by Italy in 1939. During this period, the coexistence of religious communities Sunni Muslims, Orthodox Christians, Roman Catholics, Bektasim, is observed as the purpose is the formation of a new state and the formation of a national identity. The verse of the poet Vaso Pasa, that the religion of the Albanian is Albanianism, is typical. Thus, since there was no common religion faith, then the national identity emerged in the sphere of the sanctuary, with the result that any religious confrontation were mitigated. The fourth period, 1939 to 1944, is associated with the German occupation. In this period of subjugation, religious coexistence remains, even though the regime favors the Roman Catholic Church at the expense of the Orthodox population to approach the Roman Catholicism through unia. The fifth period is characterized by the rise and dominance of communism in the country until 1990. In the initial phase of this period, the regime persecutes religious communities, emphasizing that in this way it will achieve national cohesion. It is characteristic that many fellow prisoners from different religious communities proceed to pray together, a sign of religious coexistence and acceptance of the other. From 1967 and onwards, the Albanian state decided to ban religion and any expression of reverence towards God. At this time, we could express the opinion that there is darkness in the matter of religiosity and communication between communities. The sixth period, from 1991 to the present, is characterized by the fall of communism and the declaration of religious freedom by Law 506 of 1993 on religious freedom. The Albanian state is considered secular, which means that it is secular and does not choose to defend and protect any particular religion, but leaves the field free for the manifestation of any religious trend. We should note that after the opening of the borders, Albania was overwhelmed by many missionaries from various religions and confessions, with the result that the demography of the religious communities changed significantly and was not limited to 4 as it was in the previous centuries. Thus, between the years 1990 till 1996, about 120 new religious groups were registered, among which we can mention Mormons, Swedish Evangelicals, Wahhabi Islam, Baha'i, the Dutch evangelical organization God Loves Albania, Jehovah's Witnesses, etc. Thus, we see that the religious infrastructure in Albania after the fall of communism has undergone quite large changes. Of course, for a functional and effective coexistence, mutual understanding and dialogue of the religious communities in Albania, there is now the State Commission of Religions. CSR was created in 1999 under Law number 459, which coordinates relations between the states and religious communities. Also, the state has a separate agreement with each religious community, which was approved and ratified by the parliament. Based on this agreement, the state undertakes to respect the independence of religious community, both in the organization and exercise of their activity and in the management of their assets in accordance with the principles, rules, and statutes. In any case, at the moment, 5 are the most important religious communities in terms of population, as we mentioned in the introduction, while a large percentage in Albanian society declares themselves as atheists, obviously influenced both by the previous period and by the formation of today's secularized state. Although at the beginning of this period there were some phenomena of an attempt at the supremacy of one religious group over another, either with the entry of foreign groups that might have cultivated a fanatism or with the eventual intervention of political forces in support of one religious group over the other, ultimately this stopped at their birth. What was achieved was the stabilization and achievement of secularism with the acceptance of the other, the creation of a peaceful and positive climate by emphasizing the moral values that religion offers to society and helps in its development. After the establishment of religious freedom and the fall of communism, after the organization and recognition of its religious community by the Albanian state were formalized, cooperation and dialogue between religious communities began. After all, in various Albanian cities, for example, Shkodra, the temples of its religious community are a few meters apart, which also confirm this coexistence in the field. The main features and messages that began to emerge from the first meetings and collaborations were shared values found in the theology and sacred texts of religions and could guarantee harmonious coexistence and acceptance of the other. Love, human dignity, acceptance of human rights, peace, and acceptance of the other were some of those principles on which cooperation and religious peaceful coexistence and dialogue were founded. At this point, we would like to refer to the initiatives of the Orthodox Catholic Church of Albania and its ecumenical methods of coexistence and dialogue, but also to the actions of the Interreligious Council of Albania with the cooperation of the 5 major religious communities of the country. The Christian communities in Albania have a historical tradition in their relations with each other. This tradition continues to be enriched over time because of the desire for communication, dialogue, cooperation, and love between communities. The Orthodox Church of Albania has developed bilateral church relations as well as multilateral relations between these Christian communities. The meetings aim at getting to know each other and seek cooperation to jointly address various problems. The meeting after the 90s are an expression of a new phase of their reconstruction in a new period of challenge, which obliges the Christians to cultivate their efforts towards a fruitful cooperation. The Orthodox Church has contributed decisively to the communication and cooperation between the inter-Christian communities in Albania, so that there is a strong voice of Christianity in the multi-religious society of the country. The contribution has not only to do with the initiatives, with the participation or its presence in the various meetings, but with its theology, its deep tradition, and its ethos, especially with the experience and deep spirit of Archbishop Anastasios contributing in the tightening of relations and dialogue at the level of doctrine of life. Theoretical dialogue between Christian communities is considered to be important, although this has so far been limited to an informal level, just in different cases. Patience and a good mood are needed in order to develop relationships at the level of theoretical dialogue as well. However, the dialogue of life in Albania is a reality. It is a fact that today the Christian communities of Albania are characterized by a friendly cooperation and by an intense effort to promote the evangelical message throughout the Albanian society. Therefore, many joint meetings and activities have taken place within the framework of collaboration, discussing various issues and problems that concern the Christian communities in Albania, but also for the cooperation of a common Christian witness inside and outside. Apart from meetings aimed at cultivating mutual knowledge and cooperation, activities have been carried out that go beyond intra-Christian relations, such as the event Together for Europe. With these events, the Christian witness is offered to the society of Albania, which goes hand in hand with the desire of the whole society for a united Europe. Particularly important was an event that took place on May 12, 2012 in Tirana, in the context of a trans-European meeting, which attracted the attention of all people because it took place at the same time as similar events in other European cities. Over 200 young men and women of the Christian communities in Albania, from the Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and Evangelical Brotherhood of Albania, participated in this event with the theme Yes to Nature. The event was welcomed by the heads of the Christian churches and discussed with the young people regarding the issue. Archbishop Anastasios developed the theme, the Christian heritage of Europe and the living role that Christians have in today and in its future. This theme focuses on three features. First, the revelation in history of the power of freedom and love. Second, faith beyond reason that promotes the search for the universality of truth. And third, desire to invite and challenge the continuous efforts of our spiritual struggle in a continuous course, developing the three characteristics he emphasized. Every discussion about the European identity, it is our obligation to remind people with determination that Christianity has provided living elements to the European culture which are so important in our present day. In particular, regarding the relations with the Roman Catholic Church in Albania, but also with the Vatican, these are at a level that is considered excellent. Archbishop Anastasios, in his objection to Pope Benedict XVI during the official visit of the Orthodox Church of Albania to Vatican, emphasized, there is no doubt that the radiation of Christ's light in the modern world is clouded by the division of Christians. Therefore, efforts and initiatives in the approach between Christians are an essential duty of religious leaders. With this feeling, from the first moment of the reconstruction, the Orthodox Church of Albania participates in the inter-Christian dialogues, of course also in the theological dialogue with the Roman Catholic Church. Without underestimating the difficulties, we are convinced that the active efforts to overcome the divisions submit to the will of the head of the Church, our Lord Jesus Christ, who before his tragic passion prayed for those who believe in him so that all are one. At the same time, it responds to the competing demands of our time, which desires a just and mutually harmonious coexistence of all people. As far as the Protestants are concerned, since the Evangelical Brotherhood of Albania was officially recognized by the Albanian state, the Orthodox Church asked to enter into communication with it. With the initiative and invitation of the Orthodox Church, a formal meeting of the two communities was held in the Holy Archdiocese of Tirana. Archbishop Anastasios, head of the delegation, willing and pioneer of inter-Christian and interreligious meetings inside and outside the country, expressed his goodwill to the guests, stressing the need for dialogue, getting to know each other, cooperation and exchange of views with a view to spreading of the gospel in today's Albanian society, which continued in the following years with a multitude of activities and exchanges of views at the theological and academic level. Based on the above regarding the issue of the inter-Christian relations between the Christian communities in Albania, we can argue that from 1991 onwards, they improved to a significant extent, cultivating relations of trust, cooperation, and love. The relations were put in a new perspective, where without a doubt the work of the Orthodox Church and Archbishop Anastasios remains unshaken. In all the relationships and meetings, importance was given to the activation of the common points of the Christian witness in the contemporary situation. Expressing common concerns about what is happening today, they have pledged to strengthen friendship and continue dialogue in joint cooperation. Also, we would like to mention the international activity of the Orthodox Church of Albania. It is a full member of the World Council of Churches since 1994, participates in Council of European Churches since 1997, also in the European Council of Religious Leaders, in the World Conferences of Religions for Peace, but also in every meeting of the Community of San Egidio from 2000, and also in every ecumenical meeting that the Ecumenical Patriarchate organized. Based on what we mentioned, we can conclude that the entire work of the Church of Albania in interreligious meetings is a universal one. From all the activity in the religious relations, the faithfulness of Orthodoxy is evident and permits all the work of Archbishop Anastasios in the multi-religious environment. In such an environment, dialogue becomes more imperative so that there is harmony and cooperation in relation, so that fanatism and potential conflicts do not sprout in the Balkan region and beyond. As we mentioned above, despite the great difference that exists between the religious communities, never in the history of this country was there any talk of religiously motivated conflicts. This value is a valuable asset for the country and its result in the peaceful coexistence of religious communities. We must emphasize that it is not a newly emerging phenomenon, but a centuries-old value of this nation. The Albanian is first a member of an ethnic community and then a religious community. As a result of this religious coexistence, on October 22, 2007, the Albanian Interreligious Council was founded by 4 leaders of traditional Albanian religious communities. Haji Selim Mucha, President of the Muslim Community of Albania, His Beatitude Anastasios Yannulatos, Archbishop of the Autocephalous Orthodox Church of Albania, Monsignor Rok Mirdita, Head of the Catholic Church of Albania, and Haji Dede Vesat Bardi, Leader of the Bektasi World Order. On October 22, 2018, the Evangelical Brotherhood of Albania joined this council with full rights. The Interreligious Council of Albania is registered in the District Court of Tirana as a non-profit, non-governmental, non-political, independent center that carries out its activity independently of state agencies and interests. Its mission is to promote interfaith dialogue and harmony through joint interfaith academic programs and activities at home and abroad. On October 22, 2018, the top leaders of the religious communities in Albania gathered at the headquarters of the Muslim community of Albania, where important decisions were made regarding the proper functioning of the Interreligious Council of Albania and some changes to its statute. During this meeting, in addition to the statutory changes, several decisions were taken regarding certain changes in the institutional governance of Interfaith Council, which consists of the Presidency Council, the Executive Council, and the General Secretary. The highest decision-making body of the Religious Council is the Presidential Council, which consists of the leaders of the religious communities participating in the Senate. Meanwhile, the Executive Council consists of 2 representative members from each community. The President of the Presidential Council has a term of office of 1 year. The Presidency of the Council rotates between the heads of religious communities, which was determined for a 5-year period, 2019 to 2024, at the October 2018 meeting. Also, we can see that there are 2 more departments, the Youth Department and the Women Department, that have regular meetings with the General Secretary in order to decide some initiatives about the common work of the 5 religious communities. A great moment in the history of the Council was October 25, 2018, as the Interreligious Council of Albania was awarded the Sergio Vieira de Mello Award in Krakow. At the award ceremony, the award was presented to the 5 heads of religious communities in Albania for interreligious brotherhood in Albania. The Sergio Vieira de Mello Prize is awarded annually to individuals or personalities who represent causes for the good of society. We need also to mention that the Interreligious Council of Albania is a full member of the international organization Religions for Peace based in New York. Also participates in events of the World Interfaith Harmony Week It has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Coordination Center Against Violent Extremism, also participated in many events with the Albanian and Helsinki community, participates in the conferences of the Interreligious Council of Europe and also in the European Council of Religious Leaders. Finally, we would like to mention some activities. The Department of Youth and Women provided humanitarian help to families that have been affected by the 2019 earthquake in Albania, but also in the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, the Council posts official statements on events of worldwide crisis. And finally, we need to mention the academic cooperation between the three theological faculties of the main religious communities, Pender University, College University Logos, and the Seminary of Catholic Church that are working together and have over 10 interfaith seminaries and conferences considering common values, common theological values that can be discussed between the three main religious communities. At the moment, Albania is presented by both its politicians and international organizations as a role model and a model of secularism and peaceful and harmonious coexistence of different religious communities. Clearly, this coexistence is justified both by historical religious tradition and by the need to overemphasize common national identity over religion. Of course, we should not overlook the efforts and actions carried out by the religious communities and the state to cultivate public opinion in values and principles of religious tolerance and acceptance of the other, which originate from the theology of religions. Nevertheless, through the actions of the Interreligious Council of Albania, we understand that this effort is continuous and must not stop, so that the younger generations can be nurtured and experience this peaceful cooperation and acceptance of the other, because the negative alternative may be complete religious indifference and intolerance, which may lead to violent conflict. I would like to thank you for your attention and wish to all of you success in the conference.